Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Brett Keene from God TV Radio. Make sure you check out my website, godtvradio.com. Connect with me on Facebook and Twitter. Check out my brother's YouTube channel if you're into metal and rock. Also, check out my son's channel, Games You Love, if you're into gaming. And if you feel like supporting the Keene family, you can become a Patreon or make a donation through PayPal. All links are in the description. I'm going to do a full review on my thoughts on Billy the Fridge joins us, Billy versus Paul, saltiness, mayhem, drunken peasants, as well as regarding tonight's show, as well as some videos that I watched over on Twitter where Dick Brain here has an ice pack on his eye. Paul's ego during this video gets very angry at the audience because a lot of people believe that what had happened was fake. You know, I don't doubt that some of it was fake. But Paul, I don't think some people noticed at the very beginning, insulted the living shit out of Billy repeatedly. And I think that Billy became offended and upset by what Paul was doing. Paul was saying things like he wanted to fuck Billy in the ass. He was saying that he was wanting to have sex with the guy. Now, some of the members of the Drunken Peasants admittedly on video, and I still have the clips, ladies and gentlemen, admit that they have been molested, that they have been sexually fondled and fucked with and abused whenever they were younger. Now, you've got a young man on here who's got his own fucking problems and his issues being told by some asshole who is suicidal and depressed and having all kinds of fucking problems. His wife ends up walking out on him and everything else, telling another guy that he wants to sexually fuck the guy. This would be considered sexual harassment, and Billy even pointed this out. He could get him up on rape charges. Now, I know that some people might think, well, it's just a bunch of guys on drugs and drinking and they're just trying to have fun or whatever. Do you think that women find that funny? Or do you think that any of the Drunken Peasants fans would think that that's funny, the ones that have been molested? Some of the people out there, part of the Drunken Peasants, I know for a fact, some of the fans have been sexually assaulted and raped by their own family members and friends. All right? How do I know this? Because whenever I was doing many segments on the show and I was participating in the show, I had Drunken Peasants fans actually come into my Hangouts live as well as in my Skype and tell me that horrible things that had happened to them. And it was one of the reasons why they questioned the existence of God. So imagine what that's like for them seeing a guy who thinks because he's popular and famous and he's on a TV show can get away with talking to a guy like that. Now, it does come to a point where Billy gets up and allegedly grabs a cup of piss and throws it on Paul's ego. My problem is I went back through the reel and I played it back and I paused it and I froze the frame. I even zoomed up in it. And I don't even see any piss in the cup. In fact, I don't see any liquid in the cup at all. It seems like an empty plastic cup was thrown, styrofoam or whatever the fuck material, plastic was thrown at Paul. But I don't see any liquid in it at all. I don't see one single drop come out of the cup. And I've got a pretty good fucking zooming camera to be able to look in on that shit to see if that was even so. It was pretty clear to me. One thing I find really odd is them saying that they got mad at Paul's ego and forcing him to make a video on the Drunken Peasants channel like this. It doesn't make sense to me, and Paul's bitching at the audience for believing it's fake. It doesn't make sense to me because the entire time, I even mentioned this in my other video that I talk about this, that Paul cried out twice. He said, "Come on, guys." And he even got pissed because the Drunken Peasants, TJ, actually kind of antagonized it and pushed it. There's even a part where TJ says very quietly to Ben, "Let it go. Let him do this. This is going to be gold." If you zoom up on TJ's eyes, you can literally see dollar signs. TJ knew that if these two guys got into it, he didn't give a fuck if anybody got hurt or anything like that. He gave a shit about getting views and getting paid. So, That's what I noticed. I'm sure Paul is probably sitting back there with his fucking cheetah pet looking girlfriend and thinking to himself, what the fuck? What just happened? I allegedly had piss thrown on me and I got insulted for an hour and a half. And the guy actually has the gumption to say things went too far. Well, let me tell you something. Do I think some of it's actually fake? Some of you may not know this, but before I actually went on the Drunken Peasants, I talked to TJ. I also talked to PaulsEgo. I talked to some of these guys. And I told them, they told me very clearly, hey, this is a show about entertainment. And TJ even paid me thousands of dollars to be on those different shows. But you know what's really funny? TJ actually said, hey man, do you want me to slow Paul's ego down and calm him down because he gets out of control sometimes? Would you like me to talk to him and make him chill out while we're doing the show because I notice he keeps interrupting you and cutting you off? See, Paul has this thing where he likes to talk over people repeatedly in the show, and he doesn't just talk over the guests, he talks over the actual DP people. And it got worse because I said to TJ, I said, look, I said, you guys can call me whatever the fuck you want. You say whatever the hell you want. I don't care. I've got thick skin. But don't talk about my wife and my children, especially my daughter who is disabled. And Paul's ego went for it every fucking time. He always hit below the belt. It's one of the reasons why I don't have any remorse or regret for him getting punched in the fucking eye. I don't give a shit. I think that Billy is so used to doing kayfabe with all these other YouTubers like Onision and Leafy and all that. He probably figured it was just something silly, that this was what he was supposed to do. That he's a nice guy. He was just trying to fucking stir up some excitement for the audiences and probably thought that this was what TJ wanted. What else was he supposed to think? He was sitting in the same room with these guys whenever they were telling them to just let it happen. Keep going, keep going, keep going. I think that what happened is you got people who are in drugs and alcohol and they lost fucking control. They lost control because their adrenaline was pumping and they got excited. This isn't the first time that TJ allowed a friend to fucking almost kill himself or be destroyed on the internet, ladies and gentlemen. And I can assure you, Chris Anderson, fake Sagan, who cut his fucking hand and put a loaded gun to his head, was not fake in any kind of way. It was serious fucking business. So there's kind of a pattern here of how far TJ will allow his friends to go in order to pick up views and popularity on the internet. All right? That's my thoughts on it. Personally, I think that one day the suicidal, depressed dickhead PaulsEgo is probably going to get kicked to the curb, and they're probably going to end up hiring somebody up like Billy to do the part. It's funny to me though, after all the fucking insults that PaulsEgo has done to many people, whenever he finally gets put in the same shoes as the guest, and people insult him, he loses his fucking mind and acts like a little coward and cries. Isn't it amazing? He gets back some of the same medicine he's done to other people, hitting below the belt, and he gets burned for it. Amazing, huh? All right, ladies and gentlemen, you've been listening to Brett Keane from God TV Radio. I told you about these people. Did I not predict it that there would be a downfall?